everyone! Wow, that was super peppy. I don't know where that came from. I really need to talk about this book. I'm pretty sure I said that last time I wrote a book review, but that was in a blog and this is a video, so that doesn't count, right? Anyway, I just finished this book, Rook, by Sharon Cameron. This book made me lose my mind. Seriously, I was giving characters nicknames and yelling at them and telling them when they were doing something stupid, and at least once I just fumbled the book in an uncontrollable rage. I loved it. This is a book that plays with the idea that history repeats itself, which obviously it does because, you know, the whole Napoleon and Hitler making the same mistake of invading Russia in the wintertime. But this book goes beyond that, and it's in a more specific way. The world we see in Rook is repeating 18th century France, like specifically the years following the French Revolution and all the uproar. The main character, Sophia, is smuggling people out of prison in Paris, which is known as the Upper City and the Sunken City. I don't know why, maybe a portion of Paris's vast and intricate sewer system, which I know way too much about thanks to Mr. Hugo here. Maybe it collapsed, and so now the city that was built on the sewer system and the ancient catacombs that link into the sewer system, part of it collapsed, and so now there's the lower city and the upper city. I don't really get into that, but I think that's what it is, since on the cover they put cliffs right next to the broken Eiffel Tower, which makes me sad. I completely lost where I was going with this. Yeah, the main character, Sophia, smuggles out prisoners who are sentenced to death on the razor, which is basically a guillotine. Yeah, it's literally repeating the French Revolution. And there comes a point where you as the reader feel like you need to choose who you trust. At least I did, but clearly I've become way too involved in these stories. I referred to one child as Gavroche and was really happy when he survives the book because that meant at least one version of that precious street urchin survived. I have problems. You're probably wondering, how does something that specific take place again? Let me explain. This book takes place centuries in the future in a world where there has been a polar shift. Technology has failed and things have been raining from the sky, assuming it's thousands of satellites we've sent up to keep track of our GPS and to give us cable TV and to spy on our enemies and allies. Now, it doesn't really get into the science of what a polar shift would actually do, mostly because we don't have scientific proof of what would happen. Historically, when the poles have switched, there isn't really any noticeable effect on the Earth. We don't know because it hasn't happened since we started, you know, measuring and keeping track of these things. But we can assume that if the North Pole suddenly became the South Pole, things would either completely explode or we wouldn't notice. But in this book, the poles don't switch. They just shift a little. What they now think is the North Pole is actually what was northwest. So I don't know if like the North Pole's over Alaska now or Russia. I'm not sure. Maybe it's in Canada somewhere. I don't know. And again, we don't know scientifically what would happen if the pole just shifted a little bit, so Sharon Cameron was able to kind of do whatever she wanted with this. Hence, descent into chaos, and thousands of people died because people didn't know how to fend for themselves. So the world where Rook takes place, technology is seen as weakness. Probably the most mind-boggling part of this story. I found myself laughing and then doing a whole lot of just staring into nothingness thinking about these things. The world, it seems like it took place in the late 18th century. So, like, Jane Austen era. Or a little after. But every time the characters talk about the ancients or they're looking at an artifact, it's something that's like normal or cutting edge or trash now. The like collectors and smugglers that kind of inhabit that like art world now, most people are stealing and smuggling things that are made from plastic. They're stealing and smuggling CDs and DVDs and video games, and there's one point where characters are like looking at this object and trying to figure out what significance it had, and it's a Nintendo 64 controller. And it's just really cool to see like what we leave of culture, how that would be looked at by someone who has no idea how it worked. They know the concept of, yeah, people used to be able to communicate all around the world, but they had no idea how. It seems like magic to the characters. But yeah, I don't want to give too much of the book away. I just needed to talk about it. I definitely had moments of flailing and squealing and shouting, "No!" I'm sure anyone in my house thought I was crazy most of the time I was reading this book. In fact, I enjoyed it so much, I was really happy I had checked out a different book of Sharon Cameron's, The Forgetting, and as you can see, I'm already almost halfway through it, and I started this yesterday. I'm sure I could talk way more about Rook, but I want to wait until I actually know the people I'm talking to have read the story and what they think about it. And I'm not sure if I expressed myself well or not. That's what happens when I get overexcited about something and I'm like, I need to talk about this and fangirl, and I don't have anyone to fangirl with. Maybe that sentence made sense somewhere. If you've read the book, let me know what you thought. And if you enjoyed me rambling and being a super fangirl over a book, also let me know. I can make more. I'm constantly reading. Some books I feel much more passionate about than others, but I can talk about what I'm reading. You already know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe for more. I have other videos, none of which are like any of the other ones, so it's probably a fairly good sampling of what my brain and creative process is typically like. So enjoy those. You can visit my blog, or if you're watching this on my blog, I have several other posts about books, including a whole series of books that influenced my life on a very deep level. I should probably stop talking now, or I'll just give away the entire plot. Bye, guys!